recently, a man from Devon made history by completing a full Ironman off-road in North Devon with a 15-kilogram weighted vest to symbolise mental health struggles. Isaac Kenyon joins us now. Good morning. Did I get all that right? That's what you did?
Yes, that is exactly what I did. I wore a weighted vest and I completed an Ironman. And it was probably the single most hardest endurance day of my life.
Yeah.
It took 29 hours.
Wow. It's not even a day. That's longer than a day.
I had to, run through the night.
Okay, right. Well, let's take us back to the start. Why did you decide to do this?
So the reason why is I wanted to raise awareness of mental health struggles, because recently there's been a lot of talk in the news around support for local charities or support for mental health. And, previously the mental health industry, or we would call it industry, but the mental health sector, more like it, has been underfunded. And they currently are now releasing funds for suicidal prevention and things like this. The funds that have been released are absolutely minimal, and they're not going to make too much impact or difference. 10 million is like a drop in the ocean for an underfunded sector that's being literally trying to put plasters on where a Band-Aid should be. Yeah. So I wanted to sort of raise awareness that we need to put a bit more effort into supporting our local charities that are supporting mental health, because more often than not, the rise in mental health cases is continuing, and it's getting scarier from a perspective of someone who has lived experience of mental health. I don't want people to go through this, and I don't want people to get to a crisis stage before they get their mental health looked at. A lot of charities work on prevention. Mind Charity specifically does. And if you could fund, if we could fund those charities so that people have the awareness, the education, and the know-how, the tools to be able to deal with their mental health before it gets too bad, we can stop this rise in cases. I mean, every year, 700,000 people are taking their lives every single year, and that's growing. The mental health crisis used to be predominantly males in their, late sort of 30s, 40s. That's what it's predominantly been looked at. But now, recent years, it's got even more troublesome, because now we're seeing statistics of young people under 18 and their mental health and is getting really bad, and there's a lot more suicides coming through the young. So I wanted to do something about it, and that's where the challenge came in. I thought, right, so an Ironman's a hard day at work or a hard day in the office, and then the weighted vest is the equivalent of carrying that burden. So I was trying to visualize it, this weight that we carry. Yeah. I was trying to visualize it, and mental health is a hidden thing. It's really hard to talk about it because it's not something visual. Although it can manifest in physical symptoms. I have crippling anxiety and panic disorder, so I get sort of heart palpitations if I know that I've got quite bad anxiety that day. Yeah. And it can manifest physically, but more often than not, it's a mental thing. So I wanted to visualize that. So I thought the weighted vest is that thing that tips people over. And then one of the things that really helped me with my mental health was speaking out. Taking that opportunity to share the story with someone or the problems I was having, and that was the weight being lifted. Yeah. So the premise of this sort of journey was I wear the weighted vest to the end of sort of the challenge, and eventually, I say to my friend, because there's a film as part of this, we had it all filmed, and there's a film, and we're going to release the weight vest at the end and saying, look, I'm ready to talk out, I'm ready to be open, and then the weight is lifted, and it's like metaphorical.
I think it's so refreshing that you're so open about your own struggles and your own challenges in your own life. Is there a stigma with that sort of thing? Do people still find it incredibly hard to talk about anxiety?
Yeah, I think so, because generally every time I open up and show vulnerability, saying that I have anxiety or I've dealt with myself with suicidal ideation, and those sort of things have been really difficult for myself to get through. When I did open up to someone, it really helped me. So knowing that I could open up and feel safe to open up was kind of a precursor to opening up. So there were some people that were really open to discussing with me my mental health, and that's why I'm so open, because I feel that is the precursor for someone to get the help. The biggest door that opened for me was literally telling someone my issue. And I think to this day, I've shared this story a few times now, and people have actually come up to me on Instagram. They message me on Instagram. They say, thank you so much for, I haven't really told anyone, but I'm dealing with something. Where should I go? What should I do? Yeah. And I was like, that's enough. I know we haven't met in person. You've just sent me a text message. Yeah. But that's enough just to get someone to get going, to get help, right? And obviously I've signposted them to the right place. But I think if more people could actually be strong, and when I say strong, it is strong to share your struggles, to be able to, have the courage to say I've got something difficult. I'm a 29-year-old male. There has been a stigma for a very long time with males, and the culture and society has always said that we should hold it in, don't show weakness, because that could result in you losing your job or losing your financial position, or there's all these worries, right, of what could happen if you say I've had a bad day or I'm dealing with something. And I think actually it's a lot more courage to deal with the real problem. And accepting that you've got an issue, you share it with someone, you're fixing it. Because you'll just carry that burden for a long, long time, and it will just manifest and get worse.
Do you think it's difficult as well because people will say or think, well, you look fine.
Yeah.
You don't look like there's anything wrong with you.
That's true.
You look happy enough. Do you come up against that?
Yeah, I do come up against that. They say, oh, Isaac, you're very positive, you're optimistic, you come across as that. And I said, yeah, but I mean, there's times when I'm sitting on my own and I'm dealing with stuff, right, in the things that you don't know. I mean, not everyone is in your mind 24/7, right? You could be 3 hours of your day very positive and then 21 hours in a negative state, and that's an imbalance. That's an imbalance.
Do you think you're masking it as well? I suppose if you're overly happy about certain things, it's almost like it's a mask. You're hiding behind it, perhaps. I
have seen that, and I do know of that, and there is research on that too, that people do come across really positive as a counterbalance so that they avoid being asked the question, are you okay?
Okay, yeah.
Because are you okay, when you say are you okay twice, so are you okay? And then you say it again, are you okay? People are more likely to tell you the truth after the second time. That
Even
question,
I felt it then when you asked me twice. I felt a bit hot. Like, I don't know.
It's that feeling that I need to answer this, and if they can avoid that question, it's for someone who's dealing with mental health struggles, that question is one of the hardest things. And I found that whole Ironman was really tough, but when I go back to that question, it's harder to deal with than like running for 10 million years.
What do your family think about all of this? About you coming out and talking about it so freely, about you taking on these challenges as well? What do they think?
That's a good question. Because my grandparents come from, war. They
literally.
They actually are starting to see the difference between mental health and stress.
Yeah.
So I was trying to, they kept at the beginning when I was dealing with difficulties, they would say stuff like, well, you're just having a stressful day. And I said, well, it's a bit weird. I've been feeling like this for longer than 6 months now. I mean, this is prolonged stressful day. This is long. And then when I started getting the heart palpitations and things like that, that's when I realised that I should probably start educating my family a bit more of what's going on. So since I've done that, they are aware. And even so, they have some of the mental health issues that they hadn't dealt with.
They're all coming to you now.
No, they're coming to a little bit. Well, I wouldn't say mental health issues, but like some of them are dealing with stress or something like this.
You've made it more of an open conversation at home.
And I think that was, the first step, and then friends, and then people you don't know, that sort of thing. So,
yeah. And this challenge, so you teamed up with Mind.
Yes, Mind, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what they've done and what they do.
So Mind Charity are a mental health focused charity that works on prevention. That's their main aim. But they also do have services that can provide recovery from poor mental health. They don't go as deep as in a crisis state. So they don't deal with someone in a crisis state usually, but they kind of can deal with somebody who is getting worse or wants to get better. And they have a lot of community groups as well as services focused on developing those tools for a better lifestyle for the mind, and also education about your condition or the things that you're dealing with, and what are the scientifically proven ways that you can better yourself mentally. And it's an exciting charity because they're always innovating and they're on the cutting edge of research and they're developing new services based on it. They are nationwide, as in there's local mind groups in all over the country, in the UK, England and Wales. And there is a national body The local ones are the ones that kind of deal with the services, and the national body is almost like the funding portal that helps support these local charities, as well as they have their own sort of services as well, online training and things like this. But the local charities are the ones that in particular I'm supporting at the moment with my work.
Okay, and this challenge that you took on then, what sort of training did you have in the run up to it?
So I predominantly...
Don't say I didn't do anything.
I definitely did do stuff. I come from an endurance challenge background, so I've been doing quite a few challenges over the years, so I haven't walked into this. I would say that I was focusing on swimming, cycling and running, but I had this weighted vest, so I had to do strength training, and I had to do another additional training within the different disciplines to adapt to the weighted vest. So the swim is the thing that everyone goes, oh my God. He had a 15 kg weighted vest strapped to his body. And there's multiple things to deal with there. There's constriction, the breathing, because when you go in a swimming pool, your lungs expand to maximum. I couldn't quite do that with the weighted vest, so I had to train myself to kind of stay calm but get enough breath in. So I loosened the vest to a certain extent, but I don't want it too loose so that it flops off and whatever. So I had to keep it fairly tight. And then there's, the weight actually on your body. It's pushing your body downwards, right? This gravity. So in swimming, a lot of people struggle with keeping buoyant anyway. And I come from a swimming background. That was my first sport that I really got into when I was younger. And my coaches would always say, kick, 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 kick. And there's a reason for that, because it keeps you on the surface. So you're actually, predominantly skimming across the top of the water rather than being dragged through it. So with a weighted vest, I needed to kick extra hard to increase that buoyancy. So I was training to kick really hard in the swim.
Yeah. And
I had to do that for 4 kilometers in a lake. That's where I did it. And I did it in Wimberpool Lake, which is local to here.
Yes.
And yeah, the swim was gorgeous. It was a lovely morning.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, mist on the water.
Yeah.
In the early hours of the morning. And I dived in and went for it really. And I'd never actually swam 4 kilometers with the weighted vest. I'd swam about 2 kilometers with the weighted vest, and I thought if I could do 2 kilometers, I can double that. I just needed to learn in the training how I should adapt to it.
Yeah. Was there a difficult moment? Obviously, I'm sure it was all difficult, but was there a moment during your challenge where you thought, "What have I done?" Was there like a,
There was a panic attack actually.
Was there?
Right at the beginning.
Okay.
So I wasn't trained to dive in. I just said then, I dived in.
Yeah.
The film crew wanted an epic start.
Well, I mean, that's what you gave them then.
I did, and I didn't really, because I've been training to just slowly enter the water.
Yeah.
So I dived in, and it was definitely a lot colder than I thought it was going to be in the early hours of the morning, because I've been training a bit more later in the day and in the sea, which is warmer. So I didn't quite prepare exactly to plan. And I dived in, and then and then suddenly I was like, I can't get my air in because of the
vest.
So I was just treading and just mentally, you can slow the breaths down through the, trying to do it through the nose. And I started having a bit of a panic attack, like my heart palpitations came, because I realised this is enormous, what I'm doing. This is actually very daunting. Yes, it only just came to light that I'm going to be doing 24 hours probably of intense endurance exercise.
And you've told everybody.
And I've told everyone. Well, I wasn't too worried about that. I cared more about my life at that time.
I suppose at that moment.
I was like, I need to get through the dangerous part, the swim. Finish the swim, and I thought, I'm going to do this now. Because that was the most dangerous part, really. Things could go really wrong there.
Yeah. What would you do something else again in the future?
What, that's similar to that?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah. I love doing outdoor challenges, because I haven't mentioned in the interview, but although opening up was a really key part to my mental health recovery, getting time outdoors in nature has also been an incredible lifestyle. Well, you say they go hand in hand, don't you? So the mental well-being and physical well-being are one and the same almost, really, aren't they? Yes, yeah. I like to talk about the term mental fitness. Like physical fitness is something that you can train and you should develop. And I did find that, before I did have my mental health crisis, which was many years ago, where I started developing, the disorder, it was due to a lifestyle that was very much glued indoors, extreme working, burning out on screens, spending so much time in a digital space, and just eating really poorly, drinking loads of coffees, and just basically living a lifestyle that was more like a robot than a human.
How many people are thinking, that's my life? Yes, that's me.
I had to change it.
So many of us are in that.
I had a tipping point and I had to change it. And what I did is, consciously make effort to have time outdoors in nature with friends and doing sports and things. So that's been huge, and that's the reason why I would go for more outdoor challenges, because it's just part of the lifestyle.
There you go, he said it, and I've recorded this, so you'll be back to tell us about your next thing. Isaac, we're out of time, and I feel like we've only just sort of touched the surface on everything that you've got going on. If anybody wants to find out any more about you and follow your journey and your story and get in touch or whatever, what can we do?
I think the best place is probably my website, because from there you can access socials and the charities that I'm part of. So isaackenyon.com, and then there's blogs. I write about these things that I'm learning and also sharing. And you can also find the film released. That will be released in different ways, probably on Amazon or film festivals or something like this. We're not at that stage yet, but when it does get released, you'll be able to be notified. Have a newsletter and things like this. So
we're loving North Devon. This is The Voice.